Twitter account. Hello, and welcome to the Decentralized Masters podcast. I'm your host, Tristan, and this is John, my co host. We go live once a week to go over what is going on in crypto. So, on that note, John, what is going on in crypto, and how are you?
Awesome. I'm doing pretty good. Can't complain. Crypto has been pretty interesting, as we would all say, right? I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here with us,
No.
just so we can kind of get an idea of what's going on with the market. By the way, welcome everyone. If you guys are joining in, make sure to smash that like button. Turn on post notifications on if you subscribe to our channel. By the way, can you see my screen on a share screen? Okay, there you go.
Yep, now we can.
So right now we're taking a look at crypto bubbles as we see on the yearly overall. We do see red all across the board. Privacy tokens doing very, very well, but overall altcoins down 60 to 80%. Keep in mind, altcoins bring in those very high opportunities with 10, 20, 30, 40x returns. But what no one ever talks about, I feel like, they never mention that altcoins go down between 60 to 80%, meme coins going down between 60 to 90% down, as we see Pepe down 83%. So overall, the market, as we see so far, has been a red for the year of 2025. Is like we had a really good year, and then towards the middle, everything just started to crash. Monthly, we do see 40% retracements. I think this is a nice little pullback for a lot of the privacy coins. I mean, we see Zcash down 38%, Dash 53%. I know there is this hype and narrative between privacy coins. I think that is something I'm keeping my eye on now. Now that it's down 40%, because that's usually what you want to do. It's you want to not jump into a token when there is hype. You want to go ahead and jump into it when the hype is kind of gone. And I feel like privacy coin hype is slowly dying right now. I would like to get Tristan's feedback on that, but I feel like the hype is not
Yeah.
as much as it was like a few months ago.
Well, I'll say one thing, especially for Zcash. It had some of the biggest players in the crypto industry, the biggest influencers, all getting on board. I think the Winklevoss twins even were talking about Zcash. Mert from Solana was talking about Zcash. Literally, any big influencer out there was talking about Zcash. Even our good old what's his name, the bald guy. Uh, he's not crypto, but he's oh my goodness, Andrew Tate. Good old Andrew Tate
Andrew
was even
Tate.
talking about Zcash. Whenever Andrew Tate is talking about something in crypto, it's time to get out. One thing that is important to mention here, though, is although the privacy narrative, as John was saying, has the bloom has come off the rose and things are starting to pull back here. You couldn't see a small little bubble in between Render and Arrow, John. What is that? That would be XMR, the privacy token, the original privacy token. Doing
Yep.
okay. It's still, it's got a little
Actually
bit of
been
green
doing
on the
very
screen.
well. Yeah, it looks like XMR is still holding on very well, Monero, but it looks like the ones that, were riding behind Monero's hype have corrected more aggressively. That being Dash. I think Dash is a really good token. I mean, it's been out for years. Technically down only about 18% of the year, which is not too bad. But on the monthly, down over 53%. And that is due to the fact that we just had that whole entire narrative hype as we just talked about. So we could probably talk a little bit about privacy coins. I'm not too sure how far we want to go into it, but I think, in my opinion, I just got off a call with a member. He was asking me about what I would be considering buying, and I really realistically said, for me personally, I'm not buying any altcoins right now. Altcoins and meme coins is like basically right now throwing your money on fire. We don't know we're in a bear market, and if we are in a bear market and you're throwing money at this time, expect more of a lower downfall. So um, for the time being, I think the only asset really to consider buying would be PaxG, which would be gold. Of course, I know this is financial advice. Bitcoin, I think you can never go wrong with Bitcoin, whether it corrects an additional 30%. We know in the next 10 or 20 years, Bitcoin is designed to continue to go up higher. So regardless whether your average is at 100K, you'll have the opportunity to average down and know that the asset it's going to be an asset that continues going forward. Now, as far as the rest of the tokens, altcoins are very narrative driven. What's hot today might not be hot tomorrow. It's very similar to fashion. It changes very, very quickly.
Very
I'm sure
quickly.
Tristan could tell us more about that.
Yeah,
Um,
there's a concept in crypto called the hot ball of money, and it's basically it's a lot of liquidity, a lot of money that is constantly moving between narrative to narrative, whether it was gaming, DeFi. This season this year or last 6 months has been like dexes, perpetual
Yep.
dexes. So things like Hyperliquid, Aster, Drift. Perpetual dexes were the narrative in the last few months, and you know what? Give it a few months from now, and there'll be a new one as well. So there's that hot
Yeah.
ball really that's always moving around.
And it moves very quickly. It moves very, very quickly. So that's kind of like what we're seeing right now all across the board. Like at one point, the hot narrative was real world assets. What happened to real
Mhm.
world assets? I mean, it's like the narrative with the most actual real value if you were to say, talking about something regarding value wise. But this is the thing with crypto, narratives move very, very quickly. With the stock market, they take years maybe sometimes for the narrative to die. Like for example, AI narrative, I feel like it's been going on for like 3 years plus now. And we're still in the AI bubble, in my opinion. Like I feel like the AI bubble in the stock market still hasn't fully popped, and that's what we could potentially be seeing. But basically, what I'm suggesting, in my opinion, keep your eyes on those assets that you were considering buying when they were going up. I know a lot of you probably saw, let's say, for example, Jupiter at its all-time high, and you're like, wow, I should have bought. Start taking a look at those assets that you would have considered buying. Just put them in your radar, add them to your watch list. But realistically, right now, given market conditions, really the only asset, in my opinion, if you're going to buy anything, would be Bitcoin, realistically, and gold. Bitcoin and gold, physical gold, in my opinion, will probably be the best. I was looking at the premiums on physical gold though. A lot of these platforms charge like quite a bit over spot. So maybe not physical, but unless you have a good dealer. But right now, in my opinion, Bitcoin will probably be the only solution at the moment until things clear up in the market. Now, I know the stock market, took a look at my portfolio, was kind of green this morning. I was like, yay, bull run is back. And then it goes back to red. So, what are we looking at, Tristan? I know there's a lot of news going on. We just started seeing quantitative tightening happening, or sorry, ending in December
Easy.
1st.
Yeah.
They stopped quantitative tightening on the 1st. They started purchasing treasury bills on the 12th. And now there's a potential possibility we're going into QE, going on to that's a speculation. So what's going on? Tell us about this.
Yeah. So the Fed is basically once again it's in a bit of a spot here. It's the narrative right now. There's also a little bit of a politics in play. They don't really want to give Trump the edge. They don't want to give him a good economy right now until we get a new Fed chairman. Really, that's of course speculation, but it's just what most people have been
Did you just
rolling
say they
with.
don't want to give them a good economy? Like, what does that even mean?
No, they don't. They don't want to give him a good economy in front of the midterm elections that are coming up, right? So
Man,
if it looks
politics.
if it yeah if it you can't make the other guy look good. It,
We just want to make
it
money.
is what it is. We just want to be able to afford rent, make money, buy
And
food,
Bitcoin go up.
buy eggs that aren't up 100% in a year.
Yeah, I mean, probably the best investment would have been food, honestly. We really look at
Yeah.
it from how it continues to go up. But what do you think is going to be happening? Do you think we're going to be entering this QE? Because basically, the Fed hasn't technically announced, like, hey, we're entering QE. They're just doing things that signal a QE, but like nothing has actually been announced. We do also have a Fed meeting coming up on January, towards the end of the month on January. So what are you thinking here? Like what do you expect? Do you believe we're going to be seeing this QE happening? Do you think the speculation is correct, or do you think there's an over speculation going on? I'd like to see your feedback on this.
Yeah, I think we'll move to QE. The Fed decision in January right now, according to Polymarket, there's a
Can you
73%
show us
chance of
that?
no. Yeah, for sure, for sure. There's a 73% chance of no change. So let me share my screen here. Dun, 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 dun.
Stock market actually finished neutral, at least for Bitcoin. I mean, stock market is neutral, not bad.
Yeah, stock market's doing all right. There it goes. Perfect. Yeah, so we got a 73% chance of no change in a Fed decision for January now, according to Polymarket. So compared to last month, we've had it's always been everyone's been leaning towards 25 basis point cuts. This is the first time that we are very to the no change side, and I think that's just because the Fed needs to see a lot more data. But I do also think that we're probably going to get QE, if not in January, come closer to March and April. I think when Trump's Fed chairman that he appoints, when Chairman Powell is done in his term, the new guy will be much more favorable to Trump's agenda, and that would be QE, rate cuts, and trying to drive the economy as strong as possible.
What does the money supply look like right now? I haven't taken a look at that in a very long time.
Well, we could go to Trading View. Let's see. There we go. So this is just the chart of Bitcoin right now. And if we put in the M2 money supply, this one. And then we have I'll put in an offset of 90 days. That is just kind of the general idea. We can see that, yes, I had a conversation with a member not too long ago actually about this. And they were telling me that the liquidity doesn't necessarily mean moves in Bitcoin, and I totally agree with that. It often rhymes, as you can see here. We have these big moves up in liquidity, big move up in Bitcoin, and then a drop in liquidity, and then a drop in Bitcoin, and then a move up in liquidity in Bitcoin. But as you can say, like October 25th, liquidity has still increased, but Bitcoin has gone into an opposite direction. So you can't just make your decisions based purely on liquidity. You realize that sometimes they do go in opposite directions.
Was that the first time that it has broken structure of it not following it?
No, in the past it has a broken structure in the past, but for the most part, it is very in line with it. Let's see.
So does this potentially mean that this could just be like a fake out, and we could be seeing the market rally instead? I mean, it's pretty interesting to see.
Yeah, I'm trying to look for any specific times.
It looks pretty accurate. It looks like it's been following it pretty like 1-to-1 until just recently,
Yeah, until very recently.
which would just be breaking structure now. So it's pretty interesting. You see the increase of liquidity, but Bitcoin going down. So it's not a liquidity issue.
No, it's money is leaving Bitcoin, or it's not going to Bitcoin as it normally would.
Where's it going to?
Good question. I'm not sure. But yeah, it's normally they are usually moving in similar directions in tandem. But yeah, since October, they've been totally on a different trajectory.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see. I mean, we're seeing liquidity increasing. We're seeing the possibility of a QE happening. We talked about a potential head and shoulders pattern forming on Bitcoin on I believe it was on the weekly chart. I mean, this could realistically mean unless we get some major changes, that we could see that short rally because technically we haven't had a blow off top this cycle so far. So there's still that possibility that we can slightly right now, not so much. Right now we're leaning more towards like we're in a bear market and like things are gonna crash type of mentality. But there's still that small possibility if you add the weekly chart for Bitcoin that we could break out of this downtrend possibility and we could be back in a bull run. But I think the bull run's going to be very, very short. So, like if we do go back, I think we'd probably be back in like, it probably won't last no more than 6 months. I'm thinking because if you look at the move that happened with Bitcoin around, oh, I can't mark. I don't have a marker on this. I forgot. But basically, I'll go ahead and share my chart right now shortly in a bit.
Go for it.
Here, let me share that then. So we go ahead and take a look at this. I'm going to share. Now share screen or window. Okay, no. Okay, that works. Okay, perfect. So if we go ahead and take a look at Bitcoin right here, if we are still in this bull run, we're not giving up yet, and the reason why is because everyone's very negative right now. I think the overall perspective of the market is very, very bearish. And we always, as I've talked about in the past, we always want to have the mentality of the opposite, right? Like market's bullish, be bearish, market's bearish, be bullish. It's not always the case, but what I do want to go ahead and share right now with you, which I'm just trying to go ahead and pull out right here if I could. I should probably do a parallel channel. We could probably do that. So if we go ahead and take a look at this, how can I move this? Okay, I can't. So I'll just do it sloppy. If we go ahead and take a look at this back in December 2024, going into 2025, we were in this downtrend, which also looked like we were entering a bear market. This is actually during the time around April that Tristan and I were talking about. Bottom came in at Bitcoin at around $74,000 and quickly went up from 75,000, 74,000, all the way up to $112,000 in less than a month. Let's just call it a month. From this bottom to this high right here, this happened within less than 3 months. So if we are, if we are still in this bull run, and of course, we're a long ways to go, guys. Realistically, I really wish we weren't, but in order for us to be like back and celebrating and considering a bull run, we want to see Bitcoin break above 109 because that is a very strong area of resistance that Bitcoin has been struggling to break through. We would have to go ahead and see it break out of this downward channel. And breaking out of that would confirm that we have now broken that trend and we're actually now switching trends, which would be an upward trend, right? So if we were to go ahead and see that breakout, then we will see this kind of move. But even if we do see this kind of move, I've been saying, I don't think this kind of move would last for too long. And that is just kind of my opinion. What are your thoughts there, Tristan? Do you think something very similar? Like, I'm very curious to see what it will look like if I put it side to side with another chart.
Yeah, I'm absolutely of the opinion that we are in a very, very strong downward channel now, like you see in John's, you see in your chart there, and as well as the one I showed with liquidity. Bitcoin is in a structural downward channel. I need to see that channel break to the upside before I think that maybe we're not in a bear market. Until that happens, I'm actually quite bearish. And if we are, if we're on a bear market, it can go much lower from here.
Yeah. What's your price target? I'm thinking like 60. Worst case scenario, $50,000 for Bitcoin.
I'm 77 for support, and then kind of like 63 to 65 would be my lowest. I don't think it will really break that because if you zoom out really far on Bitcoin, it's been in an uptrend since 2017. If it were to go below the low 60s, then you're breaking an uptrend that has been going on for almost 7 years. So I don't think it'll be going down that low. I think 60s is kind of where we'll maximum bottom out at, but who knows?
Time will tell.
Yeah.
And this is the major head and shoulders pattern that, look, I want to go ahead and share with you guys. I've shared this multiple times in the sessions that we have. Let's see, where is it? Head and shoulders. Okay, head and shoulders. And then this could be a possible right shoulder. And this would eventually be the head and shoulders pattern. And this is where kind of like the problem begins, and why I think if we are in a bear market, there's a probability we'll probably see the market kind of like fake out before we complete the next shoulder, because this is an area of resistance, and then it makes sense to grab most liquidity right here. Like I don't think it makes sense to drop the market from where it's at right now. I mean, of course it could happen if it's a bearish flag, right? It could realistically just dump like that. But if you really think about it, how market makers would make the most money, the way they would make the most money is most of the assets right now are in the oversold territory, would be faking everyone out, thinking we're back in a bull run, trapping them right here, grabbing this liquidity, and then crashing it down, completing that next shoulder, and then there starts the bear market. And I'm kind of hoping this is the case if we do enter a bear market, because at least right here we could exit out of our position. You know, we've been talking about
It gives you an
laddering out of our positions.
opportunity to ladder out. Yeah.
It gives you an opportunity to get out of those riskier assets. You know, instead of an 80% loss, you exit at a 50, 40, 30%, 20, 15% loss. Because a lot of altcoins are taking a big, big, big bleeding. Like if you even just look at Solana, Solana alone, you're going to go ahead and notice that Solana alone has already retraced, you know, quite aggressively from September, from 118 to 125 right now. It's at a 50% discount. Like, do you really think
Huge.
Solana would go down lower if we do enter like a bear market? Like, are you thinking Sol to go back to like 50, 40 bucks?
So I even have I have a Solana liquidity pool going with USDC. And when I set this up before the market crash, and I set my ranges at 225 on the top and 120 on the bottom, and that's because if you see there, if you drew a line across Solana for the last year and a half, really never dropped below 120. So I'm very thankful that I set my range very wide initially. Now I'm wondering though, if it does drop below 120, how low can I go from there? Because there's not a whole lot of there's not a whole lot of support until 100 and then 75.
180, yeah, $100 and $80 would be like the really next key area, and even then, that's not even strong support. The strongest support that Solana has here is really $30.
Exactly.
That'd be kind of crazy. So if we do enter this bear market, which is pretty interesting because a lot of the altcoins are actually doing this already. I think a lot of the altcoins have already completed this head and shoulders pattern. Look at that.
It's perfect head and shoulders.
And usually what ends up happening in the head and shoulders patterns like this, once it actually forms it goes up one last time, and then now it finally drops with a confirmation. It could either go up here. It just depends on how high, but it usually doesn't go any higher than its previous peak. And that'd be very interesting to see where Solana could actually go down to. I mean, $30 Sol would be a good buying opportunity. I mean, of course, just thinking about that'd be a fun ride, but
that's the market cap would be so low, it'd be insane.
Yeah, I don't know if $30 Solana would be possible once again, but I mean, look at one perfect example has been, you know, Sui. Sui's a very good layer one, and Sui alone's at a really good buy. It's actually at a really good. Sui's actually at a really good zone before it took off back in September and August of 2024. But you can see the correction for Sui alone has corrected over 70%. And this is not a meme coin, guys. This is a layer one, a utility token, 70% retracement. It's quite wild.
Yes. Yeah, it's Sui has been a poster child of rough times for the altcoins.
Well, yeah. Well, this one's probably the worst one out of all of them. Ondo. Ondo's a good
Ondo,
token,
yeah.
but I just think Ondo was just way too overhyped, and they might have overpromised a lot of things and didn't really pull through.
Yeah, and I would agree with that. I was a big fan of Ondo. I liked what they were doing, that was part of the RWA narrative that we were talking about earlier. It's just that when the product came through their tokenized stocks, and it was more of a walled garden instead of the free decentralized tokenized stocks that we were expecting. It was a little bit of a disappointment to I think the entire market. We
Ondo is
were
supposed to
kind
be more more institutionalized, more of an institutional product.
yeah, and I think a lot of people were expecting it to be more for the individual.
Yeah, and I think we're going to be seeing less of that moving forward with blockchain technology. Is that, blockchain and crypto in general was once created for the people, and now it's like, now these big companies are creating it for big institutions and big players, and big wells that have the capital and infrastructure to actually develop a lot of this. And that's one of the biggest things that I've been talking about for a very, very long time. I like to call them the VC scams. They're tokens with solid fundamentals, solid, white papers. They're doing something great, but they're being backed by VCs. So these VCs are going to go ahead and basically essentially pump and dump the token, just so they could get their capital and leave. And I think that's probably what might have happened here with Ondo, and the reason why Ondo's chart looks so bearish in the sense that it's down over 82%. I don't think it has to do anything so much with the token, because they're doing some really big stuff. I mean, the stocks, tokenized stocks is huge. But I think, one, the narrative of real world assets have slowly started to die down. I think it was after Mantra, really after
Yeah,
that big collapse with Mantra, like RWA narrative slowly started to go down from there. And then second, their narratives. Narratives are always hot, and then they get cold, and then they come back to being, interesting again. And then thirdly, I think Ondo is just super institutionalized focus, and I think that's what a lot of tokens moving forward will be. So I'm very curious to see where, blockchain and a lot of these new assets are going to be coming out with.
yeah, I would agree with that. And so you got to think the VCs and early investors and the teams, they get their tokens at values that are valuations that are nothing. They can sell at almost any price and still be profitable. So you see this
Exactly.
on a lot of the altcoins that just continues to bleed and bleed and bleed, and you're like, who is selling? Who is selling at these levels? And the answer is the people who got in at even lower levels before it was even TGE events, token generation events. So if the people who got in all before then, they can sell at almost any price, and they'll still make profit.
They'll be
So
instantly in
that's
profits. Yeah, the moment the token goes
exactly.
live, they're in profits. And this is one of the main reasons why they get listed on a lot of major exchanges right off the bat, is because of that. And you could actually play this VC scam is what I like to call it. It's not really a scam. It's just, what they do is that they'll go ahead and partner up with these companies that have solid teams and have a solid blockchain, and then just pump it up as much as it can, advertise it, and then they just basically there to take profits. Like, one prime example is like Barachain. Like, Barachain is a really good, I like Barachain, but they were super VC. I would say Ondo is like VC focus, I'm pretty sure.
Very
And
VC.
Sui's one of them too, because if you look at the Sui chart, and we just took a look at the Sui chart, like, tell me, you can't tell me this is normal behavior. It initially pumps from below under 5 cents, goes up to almost $2 initially once it goes public, and then it dumps 90%.
Yeah,
That's not normal behavior. You know what I mean? This
that's
is
insiders
clear.
exiting.
This is clearly like investors got their capital out. They probably got another unlock like around this time right here, exited, dumped, and then took profits most of it right here, because I do believe Sui at one point had some really big unlocks, or maybe it was Ondo that I'm mistaken.
It might have been both. It might have been both. Yeah.
Yeah.
Altcoins at this point is just even because even in the bear market, there's still someone who's going to be selling it for profit. So I'm still hesitant on getting in on any altcoins at the moment.
So let me
Uh,
ask you. So let's say we
hmm,
enter this bear market. Let's go in with bear market mentality because I think
yeah.
it's better we go with the bear market mentality and we're wrong and we don't lose more money like most people instead of like hoping and thinking and praying that the market goes up and buying the dip, instead of assuming that the market is actually at a at a bull run or bear market. Let's just say we go in with bear mentality, right? I think we're all in there now. What are you doing and what are you going to do if we clearly get this full signal that we're in a bear market? Like, are you going to be buying, or is there particular altcoins you're going to be buying, particular asset classes, maybe something in the stock market? What is it that you're looking at to start positioning yourself for the next run?
I'm going full humble DeFi farmer. I'm stable coining up. I'm at least 50, 60% stable coins. And then I'll probably have some LPs on the other side, maybe like a volatile, might keep some Solana around in a liquidity pool. But for the most part, I'm going to be a very humble, stable coin farmer. I will be out there going for airdrops though, because last bear market, you had a lot of opportunities to make really good money in airdrops, even during the bear market. Hyperliquid was a good example of that. The Hyperliquid airdrop made a lot of people money, even though it was in the middle of the bear market. So I'm going to be out there looking for those airdrop opportunities. I'm going to be stable coining up. I'm going to be looking at RWAs. You still have some really good tokenized stocks as well. You can do tokenized ExxonMobil. That's totally dependent on oil price. You could do tokenized Berkshire Hathaway. Berkshire Hathaway is very good at performing during bear markets, whether it's crypto bear market or stock bear market. I'm happy to hold that. I'm going to be looking at assets that are not really affected by the ups and downs of the crypto markets, if it is going to be another crypto bear market.
Yeah, yeah. I'm going to be looking into loading up into oil. I think oil has been down quite a bit. I'm looking at, I mean, oil's been down for the last since 2022. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna be keeping my eye on that. But oil looks pretty neat, in my opinion. I'm not sure
Yeah.
what you think,
No,
but
I saw it make
that's what
all
I'm gonna
time.
be loading up.
It was all time lows quite recently. Well, not all time, but 52-week lows or something.
Yeah, and its all-time low was back in August 2020, which was at around what, under
COVID
$6 a
time.
barrel. Yeah,
Yeah, that was the COVID oil crash.
yeah, and then we had to go spike up to $122 a barrel. Now, right now we're back at 55. So I don't know. This is what I'm gonna probably be considering loading up on, this and gold. I think
Yeah.
gold's looking pretty good too. Looks like it's gonna break out of that resistance and probably go up even higher. So silver too as well. I mean, it's really interesting.
Silver's been interesting. Silver has a whole host of problems right now. One of the largest silver exchanges out of London right now isn't accepting. I think they're not accepting sells, so they're not accepting silver right now. They're not selling it. So that means that a lot of people are holding their silver, even though they want to sell it. They can't sell it. A lot of institutions. So it's kind of artificially driving the silver price up. Once that exchange opens back up in London, we might be seeing a little bit of a pullback or crash in silver. But while it's closed, it's artificially driving that price up.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy for silver.
Yeah.
I'd like to see
Silver
a
has a different
30%
narrative.
correction. I'd
Yeah.
like to see a 30% correction in silver before buying anything from silver, but I don't know. I mean, depending on where the market's heading, we could just continue to see this upside in metals, honestly,
Yeah. Absolutely.
depending on
Anything
how the
priced in
market goes.
dollars. Yeah. Anything priced in dollars as the dollar gets weak, everything else priced in it, metals, stocks will increase in value. If you have, I think that's I've covered all I needed to cover today. John, is there anything
Same.
else you wanted to go over?
That's it on my end.
All right, sweet. We will end it there. Thank you all for joining another Decentralized Masters podcast. Remember, in the link below, if you want to learn from John, myself, the other mentors, and Tan, our CEO and founder, feel free to join. Click on the link in the description below. That is a link to our free group, and you'll be able to follow along with Decentralized Masters and see exactly what we do. If you have any questions, make sure to drop them into the chat comment section. We will go through the comment section and answer everyone. If there's anything else, I don't think there's anything else, so we'll just end it here. Oh, like and subscribe.
Take care, guys. See you all next week. Have a great weekend, and I'll talk to you all soon.
Awesome. Bye-bye.
Take care.